This is probably going to be one of the most valuable videos I ever make because I'm going to show you exactly how to set up all the different custom audiences and lookalike audiences so that you can launch retargeting ads to scale your offer effortlessly. This is mainly for people who are trying to sell a high ticket service. However, the logic and all the methodology that I'm going to be showing you applies to pretty much any offer. So before I show you exactly how to set up the custom and lookalike audiences for your retargeting ads, I'm going to walk you through the exact framework that I'm going to be using to set this up. Okay, so before I start, you might be wondering what this is. This is another strategy that I use to get free ICP to my profile so that I can leverage that for my retargeting ads. If you want to check that out, I made a separate video about that. You can just see it on my channel. But this isn't related to what we're going to be talking about today, so feel free to check that out afterwards if you want. There are multiple layers to a good retargeting ad strategy, and your messaging is going to change depending on where people are in your pipeline, as you'll see here. But in this video, I'm not going to talk about the messaging that you need to put behind all of these retargeting ads. Rather, I'm just going to show you how to set up all the audiences so that you have the flexibility to do all of this on your own. If you want to see a video about how to set up the messaging for each part of the pipeline, then let me know in the comments below and I'll be sure to make that. I'm probably going to make it anyways, but if you guys really want it urgently, I'll make it as the next video. The way that we're going to do this is we're going to be making all the building blocks individually for the different custom audiences and lookalike audiences so that we can stack them in our campaigns to give us the most flexibility when creating the campaigns. So the equivalent of top of funnel in a retargeting ad strategy would be for people who show the most basic level of interest in what you have to offer. So in this case, it would be anybody who visits your Instagram profile, anybody who's seen a reel but has not liked it. I also threw lookalike audiences in here, and I know that it's not exactly a retargeting strategy, but rather it's a very tailored top of funnel strategy that caters towards an audience that is going to be warm to your type of content and offer. We are also going to set up custom audiences for people who follow and engage with your content since they expressed an even greater level of interest than the previous audience before. Now, this is my favorite part about retargeting ads because we can get really granular with the people that we're targeting. So we can even target people who have viewed your scheduling page or your landing page, as well as people you've DM'd. So this is really great because you can hit them with bottom of funnel case study ads, which I'll get into in another video in terms of messaging. And this gives you so much leverage to speak to your ICP without even having to DM them directly. And the last custom audience we're going to set up is for people who have booked a call with you so that you can hit them with targeted messaging before they even show up for the call. And as you can probably imagine, this increases your close rate significantly. So now that we've covered that, let's jump into meta ads and I'll show you exactly how to set up these audiences. So let's start by creating the custom audience for people who have visited your profile, right? You just want to go here, click on create audience, custom audience, then Instagram account in terms of meta sources. Then you want to go on to choose your correct account. And then the event is supposed to be anybody who has visited this profile, and then you choose the time frame that you want. I recommend doing it in scale and proportion to how long you've been running your offer. So in my case, I've just been starting out to do this from scratch. So I'm not going to be doing any time frames that are too long because the previous followers would be unrelated and not the right kind of people that I want to be retargeting. So the max I would do is 60 days. And then I recommend titling it by what exactly the action is and then also the time frame. So this case would be 60 days. All right, then you create the audience and then just like that, it's done. It takes a little bit of time to populate the actual audience, which you'll see here in just a second. It's populating, but it will be ready relatively quickly, especially before you run your ads. You want to repeat that process multiple times for people who visit on different time frames. Like I said, I'm running 7, 15, and 30 days, and then also 60 days, but it's too soon for me to do that. The next custom audience is for people who viewed your Instagram Reels based off certain percentages of retention. The way you do that is you go into create a custom audience again, and your meta source is video this time. You want to go into choose engagement type, and you want to choose this based off what you prefer. I would suggest doing at least 75 to 95% of your video. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to click these two, and then you have to select specific videos where you want retention. And the way you want to be going about creating these custom audiences is by selecting videos that are complex about your offer, so that you're able to target people who understand what you have to say. Because if you're making a wide array of different types of content, you don't want to be targeting people who watch 95% of a video that's completely unrelated to what you're offering, because then you're just retargeting people who might not even have a chance of being interested. Whereas if you choose bottom of funnel, like really niche specific videos, then you're going to be able to hit those people who've watched the entire video, but for some reason didn't interact. Maybe because they were selfish, didn't want to give you a like, or whatever reason it may be. So just click select video, then you do Instagram profile, professional account, and then choose the correct account. Of course, if you have multiple accounts, you'll have to do this. Otherwise, you should only have one in your ads manager. And then you just select the specific videos in question, which in my case would be just these two. You click confirm, and then the retention would be somebody that has watched the video in the last X amount of days. I recommend, again, doing people that have watched stuff recently, and you can increase the amount of time as time goes on. But for now, I'm just going to do anybody that's watch these two videos to at least 75 and 95% retention in the last 3 days. By the way, I haven't actually selected the 2 videos with the 95% retention, but I'll just do that really quickly. Okay, cool. Now audience name would be 75% and 95% audience retention on Bofu Organic, then dash 30 days. Okay, well in this case I ran out of characters, and the reason why I labeled it Bofu Organic is because it's more bottom of funnel, like specific content related to my offer and my ICP, so that I'm aware that this is going to be targeted towards people who are a little bit more sophisticated, given that they've watched this entire video. You can continuously update this as you go, or just create new audiences. Doesn't really matter how you do it, but the only annoying thing about this is that obviously when you upload new videos, you have to add them back in there, which is kind of one of the main drawbacks about creating a custom audience based off retention. But what you can really do is when you find one video in particular that has been proven to get you lots of traction and that kind of stuff, then you want to definitely add that into your future custom audience. Descriptions are optional. I like to keep the title like very clear so that I don't really need to add a description. And then yeah, you should create the audience accordingly. And the last type of audience you want to create is a lookalike audience based off certain parameters. And in order to create a lookalike audience, you have to put a custom audience in there so that you can target other people who would be interested in that kind of content. So the way it looks is you just do create lookalike audience and you select an existing source of data, right? So you go to other sources and you select your profile visit or your engagers. I'll show the engagers in just a second so you can see, but let's just do profile visit in the last 30 days just for the sake of it. And then you want to do audience location. In my case, I'm targeting Western countries where people speak English, so I would just go with the United States in this example. United States. And then you can select a number of lookalike audiences if you want to target different segments based off the percentage. And the way the percentage works is the smaller it is, so 1% is the most similar to the type of people who visited your profile. So generally what you want to do is you want to target people between 1 and 3%, especially really early on, because you want to make sure that your ad budget is being allocated to people who are most likely to actually engage with your content or drop the follow or whatever the CTA is, which by the way should be drop a follow. If you know, you know. Boom. So now we got this set up. Just leave that at 1. If you want to create multiple, you can do 3 and then choose 1, 2, 3%. So it's going to be 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3. Right? But I'm just going to do 1 just for the sake of this. And then the title is going to be made for you automatically. Just click create audience and then it titles it for you. So it's lookalike US 1% profile visits in the last 30 days. Okay, so now you have the first 3 custom and lookalike audiences for your retargeting ads. Like I said before, lookalike isn't exactly retargeting, but it's very targeted, so it's not super cold, if that makes sense. And I just added it in there because it's super useful to use. So the next 2 audiences we're going to set up are followers and engagers. So we'll go with followers first. The way you do this, again, this is going to be really tedious, but if you follow this video, you'll be able to set everything up quickly and it'll make your life super easy. So you got to create audience, custom audience, choose your source being your Instagram account. Next, make sure that you have the right Instagram account selected. And then in the events, you want to go with people who are following this professional account. For some reason, it's not allowing me to choose an audience retention. If I remember correctly, you should have this option on your side. I don't know if it's just bugging out on my side, but let's just assume that it's there. And if it isn't and I'm wrong and I remember it incorrectly, then it would be the same setup where you have 7, 15, and 30 days and 60 days, 90 days, depending on how long you want to target your audience. Then audience name is followers X days. I titled it followers X days because right now I don't actually know how many days this is going to be, but if I remembered correctly, you should be able to target people based off different retentions. Create the audience and then boom, you're done. Now you want to do the same thing for people who engage. The engagement custom audience is a little bit different. So I'll show you that in just a second. When you open up your source, you have multiple events here where you have, so people who have engaged with any post or ad excludes the audience of people who visited your profile. So this is a small nuance that you want to take note of, because as you'll notice here, if you select this one, people who engage with any post or ad, it will not be including people who have visited your profile. So what you can do for safety is you can create 2 custom audiences where you include and exclude that so that you have full control when you do your retargeting ads. But I would recommend you do just people who have engaged with the post or ad. Okay, now you just want to repeat the process with different time frames that you want for your audience. But like I said, I suggest 7, 15, 30, 60, 90, and 180 days. So I'll just do that over and over and we'll skip back until I've created all these audiences. Okay, so now I've set up engagers, but not visitors for the last 7, 15, and 30 days. I haven't included the profile visit because if I want to, I can just stack that as another audience when I set up my campaign. So I can just add the profile visit for 30 days in there as well. So we're almost at the end here, but the last few custom audiences are my favorite because I think it's just the most insane type of custom audience you can set up. But there'll be people who viewed your schedule or landing page. So this requires you to have a pixel set up on your landing page. I'm not going to show you how to do that. There's tons of tutorials out there, but let's just say that you have it set up. You want to go to create custom audience again. This time your source is going to be your website, and then you choose your source being your website. And by the way, what I have set up as well is the link in my bio on Instagram has a pixel set up because it's redirecting it to a subdomain where I can track people who click the link to see the link in my bio, which is kind of like a VSL. So I can also retarget those people specifically. I highly recommend you do the same thing as well. You just do the same thing, source being a website, and then you have to set up the pixel accordingly. This is awesome because I can create a campaign to target people who've seen my VSL and then hit them with specific messaging to get them convinced to actually book a call in with me. But back to what I was saying, you want to choose the pixel that is linked to your landing page / scheduling page. Now, in this case, we're not going to be targeting people who've booked calls yet. Rather, we're just going to do people who have viewed the page, all right? So these are people who view the page, and then we'll do audience retention based off different timeframes. I'm just going to do 30 because I want to target people who have clicked the link anytime in the last 30 days. It doesn't matter whether it was 7, 15, or 30, just everybody for that month. If you want, you can also refine it by URL parameter and device, but that's not necessary either. And here we go again, we're going to be titling this audience name accordingly. So we have page view, we have scheduling, schedule clicks 30 days, and then we'll just do, schedule clicks not booked 30 days. All right, and just like that, I've created a custom audience where I can target all the people who viewed my scheduling page but have not booked a call with me. And then the next custom audience is to target people that have been in the DMs with you. This is absolutely insane because if you know, sometimes people will ghost you in the DMs and it just feels a little bit cheesy to follow up with them constantly. So what you can do is hit them with specific retargeting ads to get your message through to them without actually having to message them. So it's kind of insane and works extremely well. So we'll create, again, custom audience. This time, the source will be Instagram account, and then you choose, obviously, the right Instagram account. And then at the very bottom of events, you have people who sent messages to this professional profile, then anybody in the last 30 days. Again, you can choose a time frame accordingly. I'll just do 30 days. For the sake of the video as well, I might refine this later and actually choose people 7, 15, 30, 60 days, whatever, but I'll just do 30 for the sake of it. And then I'll make the audience name DMs 30 days. Very straightforward, simple name. This is just people who have been DMing for the last 30 days. Create audience. And then now I have another custom audience that I can tailor my messaging to for people who I've been speaking to. So whether they ghost me or not, they're still gonna see me showing up in their feed. Okay guys, so now we've made it to the very end of this. I know it's been a long video, but this hopefully will be extremely worth it. And then if you use your own brain, you can definitely tailor this to match your offer accordingly and also add extra things here and there that you think are necessary. But this is just like the perfect foundation for you to have all the tools in your arsenal you need to be able to retarget people and scale your offer effortlessly. So now the last one is people who booked a call. So it's very similar to people who click the scheduling link, but you just want to change it so that the event is call booked. So we go to create audience again, custom audience, website, and then you want to choose the correct pixel, being the one for your call booking. And then events, make it complete registration. So somebody's actually registered for the call. This one is one where I highly recommend doing it for people in a really short time frame, because if, for example, you set up your Calendly or your calendar to have maximum bookings in 2 weeks from now, you don't want to be targeting people who've already had the call with you, because the point of this is to send specific messaging before you get on the call with them so that you can kind of just break down any limiting beliefs and any objections they might have. In our case, I'll just do 10 days before because we only allow people to book 10 days in advance for our offer. If we change it in the future, I'll just change the custom audience accordingly. Now for the title, again, call booked, 10 days. Create audience. And just like that, we've created basically every single custom audience and lookalike audience you might need to scale your offer. This video was really long, but I think that if you were able to sit through it and copy everything that I've done, you've basically set yourself up for success. Now you're going to be able to retarget people and tailor your messaging however you want, depending on different stages that people are in your pipeline. I don't know how to say how powerful this is in words, other than to just try it for yourself and see how well it works for you. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like and subscribe, comment, do all that kind of stuff. And let me know if you want me to make a video about the messaging you need for each different stage in your pipeline. And before I wrap up, if you're interested in working with me one-to-one directly to help set this up and more to help scale your offer, then make sure to just use the first link in the description. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one.